Hi guys, welcome to Nirmal's Code Tech. And today we are going to see the problem in Geek for Geek is palindrome pattern. So in this problem, they have given a two-dimensional array of size n cross n. In this two-dimensional array, they have said that they will use only zeros and ones. And based on the zeros and ones, we need to identify our palindrome pattern. So in this problem, we will get the palindrome pattern either in our row or else in our column. Okay, we need to identify our first palindrome pattern. For example, if my first palindrome pattern occurs in this row 0 1 0, if it occurs in my first row, in that case I need to return the answer as 1, which is nothing but the index of the row, and I need to return whether it have occurred in row or column. I said that it is occurred in the row. In that case, I need to return it as 1 or that's it. If this is not the case, if I did not get any palindrome pattern in any of the rows, if I, in that case, I need to move on to find the pattern in my columns. For example, if you see zeroth column, I have 1 0 1. When I reverse this, I'll get the same number 1 0 1. In that case, I need to return it as in my zeroth column, I got an palindrome pattern. That's it. This is what the problem is about. Okay. One more thing. We need to find out the first palindrome pattern. In our problem, if multiple palindromes are identified, we need to prioritize the palindrome found in rows over those in columns. So this is one of the important case where you need to understand the problem, what they are trying to examine about. Okay. So based on this, you are in this indirectly they are trying to say that return the first palindrome pattern. That's it. Okay, they are trying to confuse the problem in this part. We need to try to be understand the text what they have given. So you are going to return only the first palindrome pattern. That's it. You don't need to check with any index or anything else. Based on index, they said that with rows or columns, the palindrome with the smaller index takes the precedent. We don't need to check any index. Just like that, you need to return. If you got the first palindrome in our row, in that case, you return the row. If you got the first palindrome in your column, in that case, you return the column. That's it. You are not going to do anything else. So first of all, I'm going to check whether I can able to find out the palindrome pattern in my row or not. Okay. So first thing, before moving on to this problem, the palindrome is something that if you reverse the digit, if you reverse the digit 100, and if you get the same digit as, if you get the same digit, in that case, it is called it as palindrome. That's it. I know you all know, you guys know about what's the meaning of palindrome. I don't need to explain it much more. Okay, let me move on to the problem. So now I'm going to check for the rows. First, I'm going to check for the rows. So when you reverse the digit, what you will get? You will get as 0. The first will be 0. The second will be 0. This is my next part. And next I'll get what? 1. Whether this is in palindrome? No, it is not in palindrome. Then I'm not going to return anything. Just like that, I'm going to move on to the next index. In my next index, it's in my first index. Okay, it is in my first index and it is in my first row. Now I'm going to reverse the digits 0 1 0. When I reverse it, what I'll get? Same 0 1 and 0. Whether it's in palindrome, yes, how will you check whether it's in palindrome or not? By comparing this 0 1 0 and 0 1 0 are same? Yes, they are same. In that case, what I'm going to do is that just like that, I'll return in my program. I'm not going to check for any of the columns. What's the reason? They said that if multiple palindromes are identified, prioritize the palindromes found in rows over those in columns. It means that you need to find out the first row and then you will need to move on to the columns. So that's what they are trying to say it about. Okay. Suppose if my digit is going to be something like this 0 1 1. Okay. Let me keep, I'll try to change here also 0 1 1. Okay. If I did not find any palindromes in my rows, when you reverse this number, what you'll get? 1 1 and 0. Whether it is a palindrome? No. Next. I'm going to check for here. When I reverse, what I'll get? 0, 1, 1. It means that I did not got any palindrome here. Okay. Just for example, I changed this value here. I did not got any palindrome in my rows. Let me move on to our columns. Now I'm going to check for the columns. Another most important thing is that if you did not got any palindrome in your rows, in that case only you will need to check for your columns. If you got the palindrome pattern in your rows, in that case you don't need to check any patterns in your columns. That's one of the most important conditions. So that's what they have mentioned in our problem. So when I'm going to check for columns, so first 0th row, 0th column, what I'll have? 1. In my first row, 0th column, I have 0. And second row, 0th column, what I have? 1. I need to reverse the digit. So when I reverse, first thing I'll get it as 1. What's that? 1. Next, I'm going to get it as 0. Let me add here 0. Next, I'm going to get 1. I got 1. Whether this 1, 0, 1, and when I reverse the same digit, what I got? 1, 0, 1. Whether they are same? Yes, they are same. In that case, I will return my column index. What I'll return? I will return it as 0th column, 0th column. That's it. You need to return the index. If I got in my 0th column, then I need to add 0 here and I got in the column. So for that case, I have added it as C. That's it. Okay. If I did not got any pattern with rows and columns, in that case, I need to return the string as -1. So that's it. That's what the problem they have saying about. Okay, this is our logic part. Let me move on to the coding part. Now, what I'm going to do is that now I'm going to check for the rows. Okay, let me check for the rows. Now, I'm going to find out the number of rows present in our array. For that case, I'm going to use AR order length. And for finding the columns, I'm going to use ARR of 0 dot length. It will try to identify the columns present in our two-dimensional array. Now let me keep this like this. Let me first of all we try to check for the rows. I try to copy this one and put before here. So it will be easy for you. Now for int I equal to 0, I is less than or I plus plus. Okay. I'm going to check for the rows. For the case I have been using my outer loop as rows. Int j equal to 0, j is less than c, j plus plus. Now what I'm going to do is that without these two loops, you can't able to check whether the particular pattern is palindrome or not. And most importantly, they mentioned the exponent time complexity is big of n square. Okay, there is no problem with that. Now, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to check whether my first index and last index are same or not. Okay, whether my first index and last index are same or not. That's it. For that case, what I'm going to do is that, okay, to find out the number of iteration in our program, what I need to do is that I'm going to check for the first thing, whether the first index and last index is same. This is my first iteration. This is my first iteration. In my second iteration, I need to check whether the digit, what I'll get. In my next iteration, my pointer will move on to the first one and the second pointer will move on to the first one. In that case, I don't need to check anything. Just like that, I can leave it off. So in this case, what will happen? There is no palindrome found in our row. Just like that, we can remove it. So like this, I'm going to check whether the particular pattern is palindrome or not. Let me. So for this case, my exponent time complexity is what? It's going to something like n by 2. So for that case, I'm going to divide the c by 2. That's it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is that if array of 0th row, 0th column is equal to array of 0th row, what? I'm going to check for the last element. Last element is at what? 0th row in our second column. So I need to find out in my second column. For the case, what I'm going to do is that my C is what? Number of columns is what? There are three columns. C minus J. J is what? 0. C minus 0, what? I'll get 3. C is what? 3. And my J is what? 0. And to get it as in my second column, I need to subtract one more. For that case, I'm going to subtract with 1. That's it. Subtract with 1. When I'll get it as 2. I'll get it as what? 0th row. I'm going to get it as second column. That's it. After this, if this is the condition, I need to make it as, yes, I got a pattern. I got my first index, 0th index and my last index are true. For that case, I need to include another variable and make it as true. So for that case, I am going to put boolean agr is equal to false. Okay, false. Now what I'm going to do is that if they are not true, if any one of the condition, if I did not get any value as true, in that case, we can surely say that it is not in palindrome pattern. Just like that, you can break from here. That's it. After this for loop, I'm going to check whether I got in palindrome pattern or not. For that case, I'm going to check whether my AGR is equal to true. If my AGR is true, what I need to do? I have got my first pattern in my row. So for that case, I need to include my index and my character. What? It's whether it has been found out in the row or column. For that case, I'm going to declare an index idx is equal to -1. So reason for declaring idx is equal to -1 is that if I did not got any pattern in my row and column, in that case, I need to return it as -1. For that case, I declaring here it as -1. Okay. Now I'm going to change the value of idx equal to I. Okay. What is mean? In my 0th row, I got the pattern which is a palindrome. Now I need to mention it as in which part I got in my row. For the case, I'm going to make a variable rc equal to capital R. Okay. Now let me make an char rc equal to declare an empty space. Okay. Now after this, I'm going to check for my columns. When I'm going to check for my columns, only when I did not got any pattern in my rows. So for that case, I'm going to check if my idx is still -1. If I did not got any pattern in my rows, in that case, I need to move on and check for my columns. So the logics are same for both rows and columns. Only slightly you need to change the index. That's it. Let me copy here and paste here. Let me add some spaces in between. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is that I need to check for the columns. 0th row, 0th column, first row, first column, 0th column, second row, 0th column. For that case, my outer loop should be iterate only for the columns. So for that case, I'm going to declare J here, J here, J here. So I'm going to iterate it for columns. So J should be less than C. Then here should be what I. I need to change the value of R by 2, I plus plus. Okay. Now, what is that? 0th row, 0th column. So here you can see the J should be constant. So for that case, J is constant. There is no problem here. The same thing I need to check for the next elements. First row 0th column, second row 0th column. So for that case, I need to check for the this element 0th row 0th column and second row 0th column. Whether the logics are same or not, I need to check it upon. For that case, I need to check here whether I got second row 0th column here. No, my value is still 0. For that case, I need to remove this and add the value here. What it will get? I will get it as 3 minus 0 minus 1 is what? 2. And my I is what? Initially it will be 0. Second row, 0th column. That's it. I'm going to check whether they are same or not. So same logic what I have did in my row pattern. Okay. After this, I try to remove this all. After this, I need to change here as C and I need to change the value of idx equal to J. Reason for converting to J is that I said that we are checking for the columns. For that case, I need to change the index value of G. After this, what I'm going to do is that if my after checking for both rows and column, if my IDX is equal if my IDX is now not equal to -1, in that case, what I need to do? I need to return in string. I need to return in string as 1 or 0 C. Okay. If I got an IDX at in my row, I need to return that row. If I got my index at column, I need to return that column. So now what I'm going to do is that string x is equal to string dot value of what I got index IDX. I was changing the data type of integer to string. After that, I need to convert my character to string. For that case, I'm going to convert value of what I or C. Okay, or C. After this, I'm going to return it as x plus one space plus y. What's the reason for leaving some space? They said that when you are returning, you need to leave some spaces here. You can see here that is a small space between 0 and C and 1 and R. So for that case, I left a space here. After this, I need to return just like that. I'm going to return as -1. Should be of type string. Okay. If I did not got any pattern in my two-dimensional array, in that case, I'm going to return it as -1. Okay, this is what the problem is about. Okay, I think everything is right here. Okay, okay, or by two. Okay, let me compile and see whether the program is writing right or wrong. Okay, I got 1 hour, 1 hour. Okay, no problem here. Let me submit and see, check for the rows. And okay, let me add here like this. Check for columns. Okay, I try to submit here. Test case or pause the same. Okay, I got in my first test case -1. Oh, nice. See, if you see here, when I get the one is single value, in that case also I need to check whether the pattern is palindrome or not. So for that case, what you need to do, you need to add j is less than or equal to. The same thing here also you need to add. So when you put j is less than or equal to, in that case only it will check whether when you get only one digit also it will check whether they are palindrome or not. So this is another condition. Let me submit and see. Okay, still I got another. Your code output is 1 or scatter output is 0 or. Okay, IDX IDXJ. Okay, I said another important thing is that if my pattern that I have found in my row initially, in that case I need not check for the column. So for that case, I need to add and break here. Okay, I had a break here. So my first pattern is my smallest index. My first pattern is my smallest index. So after this, if I got a pattern in my row, after this, I need not check for any of the rows. For that case, I need to add and break here. The same thing I need to add for the column too. So this is one of the important condition you need to check here. So if my first thing, if I got a pattern in my row, after that I no need to check for the next upcoming rows. So for that case, I have added here. So what this break will do is that if my condition is true, if I got a pattern, then you need no need to check for column or the next rows. Just like that, you can come out of the loop. So that's what I have added a break here. Let me run and see now. Still, I got an error. What is this? Your code output is -1, scatter output is 0C. Okay, IDX. Okay, IDX is equal to -1. No. Okay, I need to check for 0th column, first row, 0th column. Okay, no problem. And I need to check for second row. Okay, second row, 0th column here. Okay, okay, I need to put J here and I need to subtract C minus I minus 1. See, I did not change the value here. It's going to be what? R minus I minus 1. I did not change the value, guys. Sorry for that. So let me submit and see. This case of processing. Yes, we got the right output. And accuracy is 25%. Okay, there is no problem in that. Okay. This is how the problem is running on. See, I did not change the index. Okay, so that's why I did not my output have not processed well. So after changing the index, the program have successfully executed. Okay. Okay, let me see in our next problem. Bye.